Black people didn't choose to be in America. They were forced.
Well, we didn't choose to be under this system. First of all, there's a lot of evidence that is coming up recently that's showing that we was already here, that we are the fucking Indians. We are the fucking Indians that they found here. And in order to make us not rebel crazily, they made us think we was from somewhere else. Now,
What?
listen.
Malcolm X revealed some very vital, unconventional details on what Negroes, or rather African Americans, were truly considered to be as a nationality of race prior to being called or labeled a Negro.
Aborigine, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Malcolm X stated that the rock landed on us after he returned across the waters because he learned new things. He learned that the rock had truly landed on us and that we were from these lands. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. also stated in his I Have a Dream speech that we are held in exile in our own homeland.
The Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land.
Now we have a lot of scholars out there and individuals are missing the point. How can you be held in exile in your own homeland without it being your own homeland? The tens of millions of black Americans, or rather Indians, who disappeared in 1492 did not all die in the Holocaust inflicted within America. Hundreds of thousands were shipped to Europe and Africa as Indian slaves. The whole slave trade story was given to all of us in reverse. A mass colony of Africans were not shipped from Africa to America. The truth is that black Indians were shipped from America to Europe. They were then shipped from Spain to Africa as commodity for African resources. These black Indians, now mistaken as African Americans, were shipped back to America and classified as African slaves. This part of our history is what the school systems fail to mention in history programs. The American Society was an organization formed in 1816 with the purpose of transporting free African Americans, or rather Indian slaves, classified as Negroes back then, from the United States to settle on the west coast of Africa. During the decades, the society operated and transported more than 12,000 people to Africa, and the African nation of Liberia was founded. The term African American to refer to all black people was endorsed only since 1988, but was against the desires of the majority of black people. In fact, the term was endorsed by only 5 people, including Reverend Jesse Jackson and Ramona Edlin, leading the charge as a result of a gathering called the African American Summit, without the input of the majority of black people. Author Avis J. Smith went to the district court in Washington, D.C. to stand against this term, as well as against the notion that a small group of powerful individuals should be able to compel the masses into adopting it. The systematic destruction of the Native Americans, or rather Native Indigenous Aborigine people, and their way of life was not only one of recorded history's greatest tragedies, but as with the slave trade, deeply spiritually wounding to all involved. The utter decimation of their culture is one of the most shameful aspects of history, the extent of the damage still being downplayed and denied entry into textbooks and history lessons to this day.
Okay, but there were still slave ships and everything else like that. Like that part there wasn't made up.
I don't know. I've read
all that was a farce.
Listen,
all that was a story
there's been bigger farces and stories, to go around the world.
But they found the actual ships. They found the plans. I believe they did. Yeah. I've been.
I read a lot of stuff.
Hold on. I've actually been to Senegal.
Right, to the place where supposedly
was the distribution center.
Right.
It was the island of Gore. And they had
I know.
The cannons and the cells and everything.
I know.
That's
the only one I hear about, though. Like, if you think about it.
But it was centrally located on the coast, on the west coast of Africa.
The American Society was an organization formed in 1816 with the purpose of transporting free African Americans, or rather Indian slaves, classified as Negroes back then, from the United States to settle on the west coast of Africa.
Think about it.
But it was centrally located on the coast, on the west coast of Africa.
Listen, you get here, right? Columbus and them motherfuckers get here. Mm-hmm. They got guns and all of that, so they fucking subdue, the older generation or whatever. But the older generation is always going to fight and always going to hold on to their shit. So you go to the next generation now, who doesn't know. We were talking about the disconnect before. Just in one generation from you know what I mean? One generation, motherfuckers don't know who Big Daddy Kane is. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So imagine you got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 generations. Even in just that one generation, if I separate you from your parent and tell you, you're really from Africa. We stole you from Africa and brought you across the sea and brought you to this land that is not yours. So your land is actually somewhere over there.
You're saying that there were Native Americans that look like they're Africans.
Yes.
Already in this country.
Yes. And there's statues and all kind of shit to prove it.
But
even in South America, like, look at some of the statues, the Olmecs, all that type of shit. These motherfuckers have African features, not Hispanic, not Indian, African. So you got to understand, we've been here for so long. I'm saying original people have been here for so long that there's nothing we haven't done and nowhere we haven't been. Okay? There is no fucking place that white people have discovered on this planet. Anywhere that white people have gone, anywhere, they will find the original man was already there.
Well, I'm just saying that Africans look different, look a certain type of way because of the climate of where they live.
First of all, let's
not
go into just no. It's not just about climate.
Clearly, when there is a lot of sun and a lot of heat, you need more melanin in your skin to even survive in that particular region. This is why you have darker skinned people closer to the equator, and you have lighter skinned people farther away from the equator. No, you don't agree with this? This is all bullshit? It's all bullshit. Okay.
Because if you really do your research, there were black people in Europe for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years before there's any record of any white people coming there, and they were still black. What's the geographical weather shit there? Like, white people are an anomaly. Like, they just came onto the scene. Brand new.
Right, for example, if you put me, like, I sunburned, right? Mm-hmm. You throw me in a hot environment and I ain't got no sunblock, I'm going to burn. Like, I've actually had skin cancer before. I had to get skin cancer cut out of my face.
So now to go back to our original shit, because I'm always going to remember what the foundation is. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's large evidence that suggests that African people, descendants of Africa, were already here and quite possibly, most likely are the people that we call Native Americans today. know what I like to do? I like to put things out there sometimes so that people will go
And research.
themselves. I'm not Sway. I don't have all the answers.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.